Hello, this is Dorothy Kuhn, your host on the Successful She podcast, and we are here today with the wonderful Lisa Orban, author and founder of Indies United Publishing House. She and I met when she was here in North Texas for the North Texas Book Festival, and we just hit it off, and she has a great story that is truly inspiring for how to get through just the normal struggles of life and the abnormal ones, and how to make the best out of a bad situation. Lisa, welcome.
Well, thank you for having me. This is just so much fun. It was so nice to meet you when I was in Texas, and then this was just a really nice caveat to everything else that happened. So.
Wonderful. I feel the same way. I just feel blessed for most of the people that I get to meet, and you definitely. So tell our audience just a little bit about yourself. You run an Indies publishing house, and what brought you to the place where you wanted to do that?
I got mad. I got really mad.
I tell my clients all the time that anger well used is your superpower.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
I had been an indie author. I published, I was publishing my second book as an indie author. And, as an indie, you have to do, find all the things yourself. And I hired a company to do my editing, and they did not. I paid them a good chunk of money. They kept it for several months. They returned it, and just right before the deadline where I had to have it submitted. And so I didn't really have a chance to look over it. And unbeknownst to me, until it was too late, I found out that they had not edited a single word of my manuscript.
Not one iota.
Not one. And I contacted them thinking, oh my God, maybe they sent me the wrong document. Mistakes happen. We can get this fixed. And they're like, oh no, we went through the whole thing, and you are such an excellent writer that you didn't make a single mistake. And I went, oh no. I've met me.
Yes. In fact, the best writers that we see, like who was it that I saw recently on being interviewed on TV? Ta-Nehisi Coates. Brilliant writer. What a great guy. He says that he's never a good writer, the good enough writer the first time out. He gets to be a brilliant writer because his editor is so hard on him.
Yeah. And so I, like I said, so we had this back and forth. It was really my second book, while good. And I was able to do what I call a quick re-edit. Is not to this day up to what I was hoping it would be, which was a source of frustration for me.
I get it. And
now I have published several books since, and but the problem of it is as an indie, and all indies will, almost all of them have some horror story about bad editors, bad cover artists, bad formatters, bad this, bad that, or even worse, being taken advantage of by a vanity house printer.
Right.
That's someone where you
help people understand what a vanity house is, in case they don't know.
This is a company that will take an exorbitant amount of money. Their packages generally start off somewhere between like $500 and $1,000.
Mm-hmm.
They go exponentially up to there. I've seen some as high as $50,000. And what they do is they tell the author, oh, we promise, they'll do the cover art, the editing, the printing, the distribution. But the problem is they don't generally do what they say they're going to do. I mean, they do enough so that they can't be contractually in trouble, but it is to the letter, never the spirit of things.
So you're saying the quality is not so good. Maybe the cover looks like my cousin who doesn't do any graphic design did it, right?
Right.
Gotcha.
So it is usually subpar work. They, in addition to you paying them all this money, they also take a percentage of the sales, and then they continue to tack on other things as well, generally throughout the course of your contract with them. Okay. So you come out generally never ahead.
Never ahead. You have to sell a whole lot of books just to break even.
Right. And there's the ones.
And do they help you with the marketing?
Do
Or
what?
do they help you with the marketing or the tours or anything?
They'll put it up on distribution sites. They'll do a little bit of marketing for you, but again, it's really not. It's not all they what they seem to be offering and what they actually give are two different things. So while there's a little bit of marketing, I mean, their marketing could be anything. You know, it could be a Facebook post. They have marketed.
Yeah.
You know.
Got it. Well, I get the trouble with that, and thanks for describing that term, because I'm not in book publishing. I don't know what a vanity house means, and that's enough for most of the folks in our audience. And
yes.
So what I want to turn to now is, most of the leaders that I have the privilege of interviewing really are people who hire and promote the people, within companies or corporations or nonprofits. And so one of it's so similar after our conversation to what it is that you do in making sure that it's a great fit for you and your authors. So tell us how you vet those authors.
I read a lot of books.
Are you a fast reader?
Yes, fortunately I am. So if it is past my inspection where I go, yeah, I think this is a pretty good book, then I will send it on to our beta readers to get multiple opinions. And in addition to that, it's a critique as well. If the book needs additional work in various areas, this is who helps me get it worked out. And then we work with the author to get their book up to par. And then we have them sign a very simple contract with us. A lot of it is for their protection. Some of it is for our protection. But we never try to take advantage of our authors.
And I don't know if our listeners understand this, but in an engagement with like a big name brand publishing house, they own your intellectual property.
Yes.
You have no control over it.
Right.
And that's different with your house. Is that right?
Yeah. Once you sign a contract with most traditional publishing houses, that content belongs to the publishing house. Your name is on it, but it is no longer yours. So they can make changes to the content, the interior, the graphics, the cover. None of it is in your control anymore. It's you have to let it go.
Influence, but not in your control.
Right. So you just have to once you hand it over to them, you have to let it go, because there's nothing else you can do.
Yeah.
With our house, we do not claim the content of our author's work, not their covers, not their interior content. It all belongs to them. The only thing that we lay claim to is the ISBNs that belong to our publishing house that they publish under. And the ISBN is that 13 string of numbers on the back of a book.
It's nice and long.
Right.
And it starts with those 4 characters, ISBN.
And it stands for International Standard Book Number. So if you put that number in, you can find all sorts of information, such as publishing house.
Right.
But yeah, so all of our authors, when they come to us, we, like I said, we help them get their books out. We help them set up their distribution channels. We help them get their book out there. We help them with their launch. We have a big launch for each of our authors. And generally, it's seen by 70,000 to 250,000 people, depending on the subject matter.
That's great. That's great. Now, one of the things that I remember you mentioning when we met was that the publishing house that you were engaged with that didn't do you right, didn't help you with any of those kinds of things, and it seemed like they didn't vet you at all. So my question is, what are you looking for in an author? Because there was another. Maybe it was a different publishing house, refresh me, who didn't want you because you weren't going to be able to, in their estimation, to be a New York Times bestseller or something like that. So what are you looking for in an author?
I'm looking for good writers. That's it. We take all genres. Our only criteria is if you have written a good book, we're interested.
Okay. And you vet them by reading that book.
Yes, we read a lot of books here. And that's okay, because I love to read. I have a library in my house, so it's nice. But a lot of publishers, because they do provide a lot of the things that we don't,
Right.
such as the cover art and stuff. That's on our authors to provide those things,
Right.
because they do maintain the control of it.
Right.
But a lot of them, but we don't take any sales percentage from our authors either. We don't take any of their royalties. So all the sales they make go to them.
Go to them. And so it's just the fee that they pay you up front. Is
right.
that right?
Right. And it's just for the ISBN assignments. That's, but anyway, but because other publishing houses, they are investing so much of their own money technically in this, they are looking for very, very specific things. They're looking for what trends or what they know to be a surefire, seller from previous experience. They don't want to take a chance on anything new, on, anything diverse. Yeah. So a lot of new indie authors, a lot of new authors can't find a home, in any of these houses because they're not standard fare.
I was looking on my phone for a podcast of somebody, and she had her podcast is the Power of Purpose, and she had a very similar kind of situation where it was impossible for her as a comedian. She wrote one of the early books on comedy, and she thought that a big house would be interested in it, but they weren't, because there were no comedy books at the time. She wrote the first book on comedy, and she had to go to other places to get it. So they're looking for somebody to fit into an existing genre that that they know people want.
Right. The big houses are not about taking risks.
Right.
They're not going to give you, honestly, the newest ideas or the brightest, fashion, in literature. Right. That's not what they're there for. They're there to give you the workhorse, the steady, the tried, the true. And our company, on the other hand, we can take risks. Because of how we are set up. So if you have something that is just really out there, but it's good, we'll take it.
There you go.
Some new idea, something different, from steampunk to, out there science fiction in a new and different way, or we have poets but we want that innovative. We want that.
Innovation is where you really shine.
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. So how did you, this is a business, if I remember our conversation correctly, you had no experience in this business. How did you figure out to do the things that you had never done before?
Well, because as an indie author, you have to do all of these things for yourself. You are your own promoter. You are your own marketer. You have to go and you find these things and learn these things. So this really wasn't a huge, giant leap for me. This was more kind of a step to the side and going forward. Right. So you just, it takes a lot to be an indie author.
Just getting up and writing every morning is a challenge for a lot of people, because they look at that blank page. When I'm writing, I talk it into the notes on my phone and get the first ugly draft right there. And it's ugly, but it gets me going.
Yeah, I do outlines. That's how I work.
Great.
Everyone has their own little technique. Whatever works for you is the way you write.
Yes.
And I have, when people ask me, well, how do you write a book? I'm like, the way you can get the best way you can get words on a page. That's how you write.
Yeah. And there are a handful of different ways to do it. And looking at a blank page with fear in your heart is not a good one of them.
I like to do outlines. So I'll like outline and give each chapter, a name, and then I go for, it's easier that way for me to
I get that, because you can bend the arc of the story that with a bit of an outline.
Yes.
Yeah.
But for my, but for this was, like I said, I got mad at so many indie authors being taken advantage of. I got mad that they were looked at as the unwanted stepchildren of the publishing family. And honestly, we all do it. If you hear, oh, they indie published, or they're into, they publish on their own, and you go, oh, one of those authors, but the fact is there are some brilliant and amazing indie authors out there. And the reason that their books are not in houses is not because they are terrible. It's because they don't fit what
the mold
the house sees. Right. Which is
Mm-hmm.
very narrow. And honestly, they're house authors, publishing houses have created some god awful literature as well. Mm-hmm. So, the indie authors do not corner the market in this. There are some bad authors, period,
Mm-hmm.
no matter how they publish. But there are also some amazing authors. And by opening up my house this way, I am giving a platform, a voice, a home to these indie authors to bring these new ideas, these innovative ideas, these exciting new storylines, so that readers can find these books, and we all, because one of the other differences in our business is we are a co-op, which means all of our authors work together. Mm-hmm. So when we have a book launch, it's not just me going and doing the marketing. All of our authors come in and
like the hive, and and the marketing piece goes out and everybody is sharing, right?
Exactly. And so, and again, the more authors we have, the bigger of an impact we can make. So exactly. So, we're really, every time we get a new author, I mean, it's a new voice. It's a new way to amplify, our message. And so, they advertise each other and they encourage each other, and it's very,
it's a community.
Yeah. And it's amazing. We have a site that we all share that is private for us, that we can talk to each other and interact with each other and share our stories and ideas. And we are a collective.
Wonderful.
And it's that they have, they really have connected with each other. And so it's been an amazing journey with them. And as we kind of change and evolve as each new author is added, and it's just, it's wonderful.
And this reminds me of the power of influence. And there's nothing that you've described that makes me think of authoritarian, hierarchical, down from the top. This really is inviting creative people in to a community of support. You set the ground rules, and the ground rules are the thing, besides yourself and your team. That's the thing that really infuels the vibrancy and the life of that community.
I mean, I send out an email once a week to all of my authors, let them know everything that's going on, ask for, and when I think, well, I'm not sure about something, I'll send it out to my authors. What do you think? And I get feedback. So it's not just me setting the rules down. I mean, we do very much work very cooperatively together. There's a give and a take, and I listen to my authors listen to me. So there's no, I'm the boss, I make the rules, aside from, please don't bring me a terrible book. That's it. I just,
my eyes, they're burning.
Right. And of course there have been a few of those, unfortunately. But even the authors that we have initially rejected, there's been some that we have brought back. We've told them, you need to do this, 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 and this. And if you do all of these things, your book can be accepted.
Right.
And, sometimes they get a little upset. Sometimes they're like, yeah, I can see that. And then they bring their book back to us and we're like, come on in. So, that's, unlike, there's usually never a final absolute rejection. As long as you are willing to put in the work to bring that book up to standard, then, you can join us.
Wonderful. And this is so much like the teams. When I ran technology teams, it was very much the same way. We didn't care what you look like, where you came from, what your religion is, what you did for fun, any of that kind of stuff. It was, we've got a problem to solve. It's a technology problem. Can you do your part and get it done on time and at the quality that we need, and just be a good, fun person to be on the team with. And that's the kind of ethos that, when I was leading those kinds of teams, was just so much fun for all of us to do. You know, my role was to make sure that everybody had their pieces of work to do. They knew what they had to do. They knew, and so I would, you know, when I was mine to send those things out, I'd call them and say, look at what I just sent you, usually in an email or something, and take a peek at that. Do you have any questions? And those are the things that a good leader does, because people will, if they're clear on what it is that they need to do, and it's in their wheelhouse, they're good at it, they'll just knock it out immediately, especially if you've got it, you know, like open right there. They'll just take care of it right away.
You know, and the other thing is we do have a group of what I call vetted vendors. We have an amazing cover artist. We have a formatter. We have editors. We have even marketing consultants that go out beyond what I do. And, you know, and these are all available not only to our authors, but any author who wants to find someone that, if they pay the money, will actually provide the service that they say they're going to. Because all of our vendors have come from recommendations by authors who have used their services. So we know that they, you know, actually perform as they say they do. We even have a translation service that does 11 different languages.
Wow. That's important.
So, you know, if you don't know how to format your book, we have someone that can help you walk you through it. If you need cover art, we have an amazing cover artist. And if you belong to our group, they generally get a discount. But then again, part of what have done is I've never let anyone who has exorbitant fees join our team either, because I want to make sure that every author we have can actually access the services that we have.
Yeah, I totally get that. So when authors come to you, what's the pain that drives them to your company? Because there are a zillion of these companies out there. If you're the first one that they ever reach out to, that might be the exception.
Yes, it's generally the exception. And we are something new. I have not as of yet heard of another company that does things like we do. I have seen some similar things pop up in the last month, so I'm wondering if they have seen us and, you know, but
riding the wave.
Yeah, prior to this, you know, I have stood alone somewhere in this in-between land of independent and traditional publishing. And I like being right square in the middle of it. But unfortunately, a lot of our authors come to us who have been taken advantage of by vanity printers, or they have been just kind of kicked around because of, again, vendors that don't provide the services that they say they're going to. And it's, you know, the unfortunate thing is every indie, almost every indie author has done their absolute best within their abilities to give each reader the best reading experience they can. The problem is, because there are so many predatory people out there who prey upon these authors, even when they do the things they're supposed to do, it doesn't always work out. So they end up kind of floundering around, and it becomes very frustrating. So the idea of being with a group that can help you, support you, be your cheerleader when you're going, I just don't know if I can do this anymore. Yes, you can. You can do this, you know, and we do.
So those setbacks, you know, people get past those setbacks, and a lot of them are like internal.
Yeah. You know, so, you know, we interact a lot, like on Twitter as well. So if someone says, man, I'm having a bad writing day, my authors will jump on there and go, no, you've got this, you know.
Good. Well, let me ask you this question. Yeah, as we talked before, you know, this is 2019 when we're recording this, and I am chairing the Her Story, the Dallas event for the global Her Story Women's Global Empowerment Conference. We've got 1,000 of those events that are coming online all around the world. Hundreds of them are online already and will be happening here in the next 8 to 12 months. For women telling their stories, I when I'm speaking, I often will tell people that, men have been telling their stories for eons,
Mm-hmm.
thousands and thousands of years. Thucydides, the first recognized historian,
Mm-hmm.
told, his story of being the general leading troops in the Peloponnesian Wars. And those kinds of stories of accomplishment have really, we learn those things in school, and it's the soup that we live in. Women have rarely had the opportunity to tell their stories, and that is beginning to change in a big
Yes.
way. And that's why I'm cared so much about the work that you do, because it so aligns with the her story, and with changing the narrative that
Mm-hmm.
that as women we have. Our culture just reinforces that very masculine view through writing, through imagery. I mean, just think of the fashion industry. 95% of all the photographers who do those high fashion shoots are men. Women are shown pictures. We're shown pictures of ourselves through masculine eyes.
Mm-hmm. Oh
And
yeah.
and
I
so
hate advertising.
and
But
when people tell
I
me that
actually
they
have
don't pay attention to that stuff, then I know that they're deeply affected by it, because it's everywhere. It's just
Mhm.
slides into your brain. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was just while I was in college, I was studying psychology, and we had I took a course in, what was it, human sexuality, I think it was, and we did an entire big chunk of it based talking about advertising,
Mm-hmm.
and how it, sexualizes children,
Mm-hmm.
to sell products, and women, and
Mm-hmm.
not so much men. And I have really enjoyed some guys coming out and recreating a lot of these advertisements that have women in it,
Mm-hmm.
and using themselves, like big biker dudes and stuff. And I have to tell you, it's fun to see them flip the script, and you can see how ridiculous it is,
Yeah.
because this is so out of the norm, even though they're posed in the exact same way,
Mm-hmm.
wearing similar items of clothing. So
Yeah.
it's nice to see that there are these men that are helping us flip the script and
Yes.
show these things are ridiculous.
Yes.
They're unrealistic, and they're
They
even a
are.
little silly.
Uh-huh. And we are tempted, and oftentimes successfully so, to want to aspire to this fantasy level of beauty. When do I look like a fantasy photo? No, I don't want to. I want to look like me, and I don't care. If you don't,
Right.
if it's not good enough for you, that's on you.
I have discovered with age, um, my caring button about what other people's opinion on how I look, how I act, how I
Uh-huh.
dress,
Uh-huh. You
um,
broke it, huh?
it went away.
Uh-huh.
And I I don't think I have ever felt as free in my life as I have in probably the last 5 years.
Good.
I had been slowly breaking away,
Uh-huh.
in increments,
Uh-huh.
from other people's opinion.
Mhm.
But really, the last 5 years or so, I'm just like, I, I, life is too short, and I'm too busy to care about what you think about me. You know.
Yes. Uh-huh. And I will tell you, there's, the science gal here, I got to like read all the neurosciences
Mhm.
for like what's going on in the brain that drives that. And it really, it has a lot to do with the fact that as women, our brains have got twice the number of serotonin
Mhm.
receptors, and serotonin is triggered by outside stimulus. And so if you're listening to this as a younger woman and are thinking, well, that's just me, it's just your brain. And when you find a supportive community that can lift you up and affirm you for who you are right now, uh, uh, it doesn't have to be, advertising or
Mhm.
the what a certain half of the population thinks or something like that. Find a community that will lift you up and tell you reinforce your good qualities, so you get your brain gets those serotonin charges. Because when we've got twice as many serotonin receptors, that means twice as many very hungry alligators for that serotonin, and that's what makes us care about other people's opinions. So
Now,
feed it another way.
I have found another way. Simple declarative statements. I will look at, I have people that live in my house. I'll look at them and say, tell me I'm pretty. And declare.
They'll do it.
They will, you know, I will tell them what it is I need from them.
Uh-huh.
Okay. What kind of statement that I look nice, that, you know, I'm whatever it is. And they will stop whatever they're doing and they will respond. Good. In like in kind. I forget sometimes because I have trained this group of people that that you know is in my life, and just I make these declarative statements, and I expect. And I even did it when I was at the book festival. With one of my authors, I didn't even think about it. I'm like, tell them that you like me. And, you know, and he's just like, oh yeah. You know, I'm like, you know, I need to stop doing that. But you know, here's the thing: women are taught not to ask for the things they need. You know, we have been taught since we were very young to be self-deprecating. That you know, my needs are not that important. Well, the fact is they are.
Oh, this old dress, but that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So I had given up on you know, on trying to be whatever that is. I have, you know, there are things that I need to make me happy. And sometimes it may be a candy bar and a pat on the head, literally. And if that's what I need, then that's what I'm going to demand from, you know, people around me.
Around you.
Because, because I take care of them, and there's no reason for them not to give me equal care and concern.
Indeed.
And I demand it. I don't ask anymore.
In a nice way. Tell me I'm pretty.
So for young women out there, just you know, but for the young women out there, just know that it's okay to ask for what you need.
Yes, and
you know, or not even ask.
And when you realize that you haven't, be kind to yourself. Take it as a learning opportunity. I had one of these yesterday. Somebody was asking me for something that I was uncomfortable giving. It was a new situation. It's not something that I had experienced before or had gone through before. You know, I'm like not young. But you know, and so I was quiet because I wasn't clear on how to respond. And you know, a couple hours later, I thought, oh, I need to take this as a learning opportunity, so that the next time somebody in a situation like this asks me for something that I'm not comfortable saying yes to, you know, I've got a clear answer in the moment. So take those things as a learning opportunity, because nobody's born knowing everything. Good grief.
Right.
Well, this has been just fantastic. I'm sorry, you had a final comment you wanted to make. Go ahead.
No, I wanted to say that, you know, to every woman out there, it's okay to embrace your story and be the hot mess that you are, and be proud of it. We're all we're all a work in progress. So if things didn't go well today, you have tomorrow.
And that's what the Her Story Conference is all about. How, you know, what was being able to tell your story, whatever it is, and however you manage to get through it to the other side, whether that is, you know, now I don't suggest that people, if you're still bleeding from that story, that might not be a good time to tell it.
Probably not.
But you know, if you've healed enough that you can look back and see the lesson from it, then that is a wonderful thing to do. And if you haven't healed enough from that, you know, some people heal through writing, and so you're a great person. Some people heal; they need, you know, coaching and guidance. You know, that's my side of the equation, and it's just wonderful to have other people in our lives who care, who can help you get through those challenging times, because we all have them.
Yeah. And it's good to find out that there are other people that have been in similar situations, and you're not alone.
Yes, that is so true. You know, I'll wrap up with this. There's a lady pastor that I listen to from time to time, and she will reinforces this again and again and again, that we're none perfect, and we don't have to be.
Right.
Perfection is elusive. It doesn't exist on planet Earth. And, it just comports with what I've learned, not as young in life as I wished, but I'm really glad I learned it, that this isn't planet perfect. It's planet Earth. Just
That's
have,
right.
have to do the best you can, have
Mhm.
fun, notice when it doesn't work, and, get help from other people so that you can
Mhm.
up level the next time. That's it.
That's right.
Wonderful. Well,
Mhm.
how do people get a hold of you, Lisa? It's just so wonderful.
The best way to get a hold of me, if you would like to go to our website, is at indiesunited.net. You can also find us you can find me personally on Twitter, at LisaOrbinAuthor, or you can find our house at Indies United Pub, PUB. We also have Facebook. Almost everything to get a hold of me, connect with me personally, is at LisaOrbinAuthor. So I've tried to make it very simple for people to be able to find me.
Very
But again, if you go to our website, there's at the bottom of every page, there's a place where you can send me an email, and I'm usually pretty good, unless I'm traveling, to respond, generally within 24 hours. So,
wonderful. Wonderful. And for those of you who are interested in getting started on your story with the Her Story conference, you can sign up for free. And I've at dorothykuhn.com/her story. All one word, HERSTORY. So it's dorothykuhn.com. I'll put all this in the show notes so
okay.
that you've got it right at the bottom. What do you have for your stick the landing send off to our audience, Lisa?
Believe in yourself.
Believe in yourself.
Even if you make a mistake today, you've always got tomorrow. It's okay.
It's okay.
You've got this. Believe it
Yeah,
or not, you've got this.
you've got this. You have it. Yes. And so thank you so much. I had a great time doing this. This will be fantastic. And dear listeners, dear viewers, this is Dorothy Kuhn. I have been blessed by getting to meet just the most amazing women. And I'm blessed here again today with Lisa Orban. So go check her out, and we will see you on the next interview. Bye for now.